Over time there have been several human species, and traces of their DNA can be found in our genetic code. In the 18th century, Carolus Linnaeus established a Latin language classification system for the planet species and labeled as Homo sapiens, meaning wise man. In 1859, Charles Darwin published his theories about natural selection, or how species change by adapting to their environment. Those individuals with successful traits are more likely to survive to pass on those traits. Such an evolution from chimpanzee to human would take many millennia. Fortunately, archaeologists have discovered many different types of fossils of extinct species that show similarities to both chimpanzees and humans. By examining bone structure, teeth, and DNA, researchers can make solid guesses about mobility, diet, brain size, age, and how we might be related to these species. Hominids are the group of species that includes humans, chimpanzees, gorillas and orangutans and some of their close ancestors, with whom they share a number of characteristics. The following is a list of 7 such species that we are related to, but that have disappeared for a long time. Don't forget to subscribe, so let's get started. 7. Paranthropus Boisei. Living between 2.3 million and 1.4 million years ago in Tanzania, Ethiopia and Kenya, Paranthropus boisei thrived for about 1 million years. Unfortunately, we have yet to discover any specimens for the body or limbs, but we do have a few pieces of skull, jaw and teeth that indicate how fascinating this species was. Boisei is also nicknamed the nutcracker because of its large teeth and powerful jaws. However, the wear on the teeth suggests that although they could chew hard food, they usually did not. The skull is short from front to back, but has broad cheekbones and wide eye sockets. The fact that Boisei's face did not change as much as earlier hominid species suggests a progression toward more human-like features. 6. Homo Habilis. Fossils of this species indicate that it had long arms and prominent facial bones, more ape-like. But the species also had more human-like features than older species, including a larger brain and smaller teeth. Perhaps members of this species evolved with smaller teeth as they learned to eat more energy-efficient foods that required less chewing. Paleoanthropologists speculate that this species may be associated with the earliest known evidence of bones that were cut and hammered. This would mean that they ate meat and bone marrow, and the dental evidence does not contradict this hypothesis. 5. Homo Geogicus. Archaeologists have unearthed several skulls and jaws in addition to other bone fragments belonging to this species. These fossils date back to 1.8 million years ago and are the oldest known hominid to have lived outside of Africa. Although Georgicus was proportionally similar to the body structure of modern humans, this species had a relatively small brain and stood less than 1.5 meters tall. Amazingly, one of the skulls shows evidence that the individual survived for some time after losing its teeth. In a more primitive culture, this would have been impossible, but this is evidence that there was a social support structure that helped care for this individual. 4. Homo Ergaster. In 1984, archaeologists discovered a specimen of Homo Ergaster, which is the skeleton known as the Turkana boy. The researchers explain that this is a nearly complete skeleton, revealing many more details about its species. It had a narrow pelvis indicating that it was very comfortable walking upright on 2 legs, and its arms were shorter and legs longer than those of its predecessors. The most interesting aspect that caught the attention of the scientists was that although it was probably not fully developed, the skeleton was 1.6 meters tall, which means that Ergaster is the first species of the genus Homo that we know to have reached the height of humans modern. 3. Homo Erectus. The first evidence of the existence of this species was originally discovered in 1891 on the island of Java in Indonesia. This species lived from 1.8 million years ago to 30,000 years ago. The fossilized skulls discovered show that this species had a long cranial vault, housing a relatively large brain, in addition to a broad face and large eyebrows. Paleoanthropologists were able to conclude that Erectus was tall and walked upright. Axes found in Africa are notably absent from Asian specimens, but suggest that the species either left Africa before their invention or made tools from other available materials. 2. Homo Heidelbergensis. This species lived in Europe 600,000 to 200,000 years ago in the Middle Pleistocene epoch, which means it was probably the first hominid species to live in a cold climate. To thrive in such an environment required some important innovations. This included the construction of shelters, traces of which dating back 400,000 years have been discovered in France. Some researchers speculate that they may have also mastered fire, and this is because in Israel, evidence of burnt wood and fire-forged tools dates back to 790,000 years ago. Evidence of various solid tools and large remains of butchered animals suggests that Heidelbergensis was also an efficient hunter. 1. Homo Neanderthalensis. Homo Neanderthalensis is the closest species to modern humans, and over time researchers have discovered several complete skeletons of the species. So we know quite a bit about them, but many details remain unclear, including how exactly Neanderthals fit into our family tree. Evidence shows that modern humans interbred with Neanderthals, but that we did not evolve from them. This species thrived in Europe and even Asia. They tended to be shorter than modern humans. They had broad shoulders, strong arms and legs, and a large chest. Paleoanthropologists speculate that short stature may have been an adaptation to cope with colder weather to conserve body heat. Another possible explanation is that this sturdier, tougher build was an adaptation to a brutal lifestyle. Indeed, the fossil remains show many wounds. They hunted animals and ate a lot of meat, but they also enjoyed seafood and plants.